Logic, what do you mean, operation? I don't understand. What, like the board game operation? How have you been, Logic? It's been a while, or should I say Aqua? What do you want to be known as now? I can't remember. We're doing a much more chilled out stream today. It's holy shit! The video I made got 10,000 views. Oh, happy belated birthday, I guess. Happy birthday. Hope it went okay. Hope it went okay for you. Hope you had a nice time. Did some good stuff. You know, how does it feel to be 1 year closer to your eventual death? No, seriously though. Yeah, it got 10k views. Feels great. Excellent. Good to see. Sorry, 1 second. Just have a look at this. Oh my god, it's got... Hang on, what's the exact number? $10,069. Nice. Do anything nice for your birthday then? Character's mask is upsetting me because when you turn, I can see the tiniest bit of non-existent hair. What do you mean, where? What's wrong with my mask? Do you mean how underneath it, you mean? One second. There's no hair behind the mask. Oh, there you... Oh, right. Oh, I see. Like, yeah, the very peak of it. I think that's just where the hair is part... Yeah. There, right? Yeah. I think that's just where the hair is... That's where my hair is parting. Don't worry about it. You know? Hair naturally does part sometimes like that. Why is my mouth not moving? Huh? Hang on. Highly energetic recently? That's awesome. I have not been very energetic lately. Hang on, maybe let's... Let's put it to that. That should be a bit better for it. Right, so that is a bit better. Since last stream I joined, I have gotten a proper sleep schedule. Let's go! Wait, where's my eye on? There we go. Yeah, the eye is off today, which means we're having a chill stream today. we're just gonna have a chill out, catch up a bit because I've not streamed for a week. And also just because I don't have the energy to do much more than that. I also have some Reese's peanut butter chocolate here. This is the only good American chocolate. Hershey's are terrible. Hershey's are so bad. That's awesome, though. It's sweet. Wait, hang on. Wait, do you mean awake by 6 AM and asleep by 10 AM? Or do you asleep by 6 AM, awake by 10 AM? Oh, that's what you were on. Okay, right. No, that makes sense, yeah. That's awesome to hear, though. Awesome to hear, Logic. Wait, I forget, did you ever have moderator privileges? I can't remember. I can't remember if you did now. You named your puppy Reese's? Honestly, that's a good name for a dog as well. Like, chocolate or otherwise, I think Reese's is genuinely a good name for any kind of pet. Yeah, I don't know if you like Hershey's. I despise Hershey's. I think they're so gross. Very unappealing. I'd much rather have like Cadbury's. Honestly, getting like a nice sleep schedule does feel great. It feels genuinely really good. Oh, there's a video. So, I kind of just wanted to chill out and watch some videos today. So not ruin it. Honestly, it's something I'm working on as well and I need to get better at. Going to sleep at a reasonable time, you feel so much better. And like, especially when I normally force myself to wake up early as well. It's like, if I go to bed at like 2 in the morning and then I wake up at like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or something, I feel crap. I feel awful for it. It's not good. If you go to sleep at a reasonable time, like for me, I try to be asleep by about 12-ish now. That's like genuine. Especially if I have like work early in the next morning. But yeah, that's what I try and do. And you feel so much better for it. You feel so much more awake and active. Let's go to start. Hang on. Maybe one day we'll get a transition there as well. Yeah, you just feel much better for it. So yeah, do try your best to keep it up, Logic. Would you prefer the name Logic now, by the way? Logic out of the window. That's genuinely a very good name. Wait, have you changed your name on Discord? I can't remember. Right, yeah, that natural wake up feels great, doesn't it? Right? One thing I really like is like waking up, like, I don't know if you set an alarm in the morning, waking up just a bit before your own alarms. It feels like it's like a great win for the morning. It feels like you've beat your own, what do you mean you're not in my Discord for some reason? That's weird. What was the command for Discord? I have no idea what the Discord command is. Oh, no, exclamation mark Discord. Let's try that. Hopefully that one should work. I mean, granted, you say that. It does give you more of an opportunity, though, to, like, get your hair sorted out early in the morning. Like, you can see, I have long hair here, And, yeah, I have long hair, so it can be frustrating. I genuinely really like looking after my hair, though. I think it's very therapeutic in a way. And, like, so, you can see my hair is quite wavy and a bit curly here. It's really difficult to look after that hair, especially if you're a guy and, like, a lot of stuff designed for male scalps doesn't accommodate for that. So, like, it's interesting going around and, like, speaking to hairdressers and stuff and finding what is the best for me. And I found a brand at the moment which I really like called Lee Stafford. I don't know if they're a UK only kind of brand, but I really like them. Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? If it's all knotted up, take the time to, like, learn about it. I'm not saying you need to comb it, and indeed, like, if your hair is, like, naturally knotted and curly and such, combing isn't going to do much for it. If anything, it could potentially just mess up any kind of shape you want with it. But there are things you can do. You just need to have a look around, see what you have available to you, see what's in your price range, and also have a look at what was it? What did I say? Yeah, have a look at what is good for your type of hair. And everyone's hair is going to be different. I don't think, my microphone is still working. I think that's more just because, if you're on your phone, that'll explain why. I'm just saying, there's a lot of joy to be had in looking after your hair, so take your time to have a look around, find some products which work for your hair, and that makes sense then. No worries then. But yeah, take your time to look after your hair. You only get one head of it. You don't want to be in, like, your 50s and bald, do you? Unless you're into the bald look. Some people are into just being bald. In which case, more power to you. That feels nostalgic, almost. I've not seen you do that kind of thing in yonks. Very nostalgic in a way. But yeah, I find it very relaxing to do hair care. Hello, Thorn. You caught me at a bad time. I'm eating some Reese's chocolate at the moment. Oh yeah. You have points for that as well. Oh. Thank you. You know what? I always appreciate your worship for me, Thorn. And again, it feels very nostalgic in a way. It's been so long. Actually, I haven't been streaming for a week though. I think I put a message in the Discord. No, thank you for the hydrate. Poggy Woggies. Ooh woo. Poggers. I haven't streamed last week. I didn't stream last week, largely because... Why's the music stopped? Could it be? Has it finished? Oh no. Yeah, just kind of busy at work, busy working on other projects as well in my free time. And also, there's just been a lot of personal stuff going on, which is not giving me the energy nor the mood, putting in the mood to want to stream, honestly. Even today, I was considering whether to do it or not, just because it was I've been feeling very low. This is all a bit exasperated at the moment as well, because I was meant to have out a new YouTube video last night. However, my editor has unfortunately not got it done in time, and he won't be able to do it until next Sunday now due to him going away for a few days. So, yeah, you can imagine, I'm quite annoyed about it. I'm trying my best not to, like, be that much of a downer about it and trying not to, like, blame him for it, though I was not aware of that, and I'm just a bit disappointed that I wasn't told about it as well. Yeah, you know, and the thing is, it's already been delayed by a week anyway, because of some stuff which happened last week, no, the week before, yeah, like, I don't know if anyone was here, like, I had to end stream early due to a bit of a family emergency which happened, which kind of delayed me getting some work on it done by a couple days. So yeah. On a positive note though, the first video I did release has now got 10k views, which is awesome. And sure, it's less than 30 seconds long, but you know what? That's still really good. That's, considering I'm doing this as more of a portfolio thing than anything, I think that's really good start, you know? Having a short video get to 10k views, really, really good. Oh, bit of Reese's. And that's really cool. Anyway, today we're just having a kind of chill day. I kind of just want to watch some videos and chill out with you guys and catch up and things, because it's been a bit. By the way, anyone who wants to say, there's a question in today's title. What's your favorite national dish? I'm very curious. I want to know what national dishes you like from around the world, from your country at least. The Aki trailer in SF6. I've not caught up on all the Evo stuff. I did see what's the new Peruvian girl in Tekken. She looks cool. And like she has like a lot of like dodges and counters and stuff, and she really takes advantage of the 3D space. So yeah, I feel like it's one of the things where I'm gonna wait until I can just like watch all of it together. Because is Evo still on? Is it the last day today, or was it the last day yesterday? I like sandwich cake. Well, like an ice cream sandwich. Very many national dishes of any at all, so I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Thorn, I forget where you're from. Logic, you said before you're from the US. The US is interesting in that, you know, I think a lot of people take its national dishes for granted. A sandwich cake. Oh, like a Victoria sponge, right? Yeah, I understand now. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you're from Sweden. Of course, forgot about that. Wait, hang on. What's that? Oh, there's a really infamous Swedish dish, which is meant to really smell. Do you know what I'm talking about? Floridian gate. Well, actually, yeah, you can eat alligators, can't you? Have you ever had alligator meat? I've heard it tastes kind of like pork, but it's really dense. And a bit tough. Yeah, but there's a Swedish dish, which I think, is it some like fermented fish thing? It tastes good. Interesting. You can't really get it over here. I imagine you would need to go to some specialist butchers who would probably cost you an arm and a leg for it, because they'd likely have to import it since alligators aren't native here, obviously. But yeah, no, I know like alligator meat is eaten in some parts of the US, and like Florida is obviously has quite a few alligator farms used for farming alligator meat. No, it's like, it's not surströmming. Is that how you would say that? Surströmming. No, there's a dish. You can get it in a can, I believe. It's really infamous for smelling terrible. Like, you have to open it outside, otherwise your house will stink from it. It's not on bread. Oh, is it? Is that it? Oh, right. Okay, then maybe it is that. I can't remember. I couldn't remember the name then. But yeah, I've heard people say it's awful, and like there's a Swedish streamer I like called Nerine. She said and it's vile, and it seems like one of those very like acquired taste things where it's really old-fashioned, and you need to have a really acquired taste for it. Is that just to make it palatable? What is it actually made of, though? Is it some kind of fermented fish? I forget. Tell you what, let's open up some videos. There's this cool video I want to watch here, but first off, so... You guys know the channel Tasting History?
Origins for the...
Tasting History is such a good channel. It talks all about like the history of food. Barrel for a few days a week. Yeah, that's fermentation. Actually, I'm gonna show you this channel here, Tasting History. It talks a lot about this really old Roman condiment called garum, which is traditionally made with fermented fish, which have been aged for months potentially. Yeah. It smells a lot like, people say it smells like dead bodies, which is understandable. No, I was mentioning before all about American dishes, and like, you know, a lot of their national dishes in America are kind of like food I think a lot of people take for granted. Though, you know, people think of pizza. A lot of people think of pizza as like an Italian dish, but really it was America which popularized it, and I'm gonna put on a video about that, so hang on. Let's turn the music off for just a second. Yeah, this is a really cool channel. I love this channel. It's Tasting History with Max Miller. Just like really, really good channel. Where's the pizza video? Oh, it's actually, if you see any other things scrolling by here which you think might be good to learn about, let me know. But yeah, the way I've heard to get rid of the smell is to put together the potatoes and onions. Oh, right, I see. So it's to kind of mask the smell. I imagine it would taste really sour then if it's been fermented for that long. Yeah. Right, I see. Where's pizza? Do you guys see pizza? Yeah, this is a video all about how... He's got a really good video all about how traditional pizza was made. Pizza. Where's it gone? Viking feet. Oh, Viking blood bread. Yeah, that was interesting. Am I blind? Could it be? Am I blind as a bat? Dilla Grout. Interesting. Don't know what that is. Where's it gone? Where's that pizza gone? Probably missed it, haven't I? Pumpkin pie. Boozy eggnog. Redeemed posture check. Thank you. You know what? I do slouch naturally. It's like you have a psychic sense of this kind of thing, Logic. It could taste good, but I'd never tried it. So, like, if you're mixing it with onions and potatoes, I imagine you're using the kind of, like, sweet and savory of them to balance out the acidity of it, because I imagine it's fermented in some kind of vinegar or something like that, right? Generally, that kind of thing, you need to... It needs some kind of acid so that it doesn't just completely spoil. Birthday cake, no. Sally Lumber, no. I went way past it. The tomato. It's interesting, actually. So, like, when we say pancakes over here in the UK, we almost exclusively referring to the French-style pancake, the crepe. We just call that a pancake. If we're referring to the thicker American style, we'll say like an American pancake or a breakfast pancake. But yeah, when we say pancakes, we're almost always referring to thin style ones. Yeah. Man, this is such a cool channel. Hang on, where's it gone? Chat, tell me if I'm blind. Tell you what, wait, hang on. I just realized I can actually search for it. Doi. But what if I can actually find it through here? You know what? Forget about it. We're just gonna go do a search. Pizza. Yeah, history of pizza. Nope.
Pop quiz hot shot. What's the Pope's favorite pizza topping? I actually don't know. But in
Did you know about the elders in Sweden get really angry if you don't stir the potatoes in one of your dishes? What dish is that, actually? Actually, tell you what. Before we look at this pizza history, I want to look at this Surströmming. Oh yeah, there's a Surströmming challenge of people just opening it up. I'd rather not click on a BuzzFeed video lest I lose all sense of self-respect. I guess we'll watch this. Who knows? He might have some kind of insightful thing to say about it. Thank you for the sippy.
I've still got lots to learn, so I'm off to try a traditional Christmas dish that I hear tastes much better than it smells. Now, trust me, I want to get the best of Christopher, and I'm up here to meet two guys.
Oh yeah, I forgot
who make this
PewDiePie's Swedish. Alright, let's watch this first.
amazing delicacy. It can only be found here.
Let me know if the volume's okay or not, or if I'm too quiet
First
or
of all,
it's
I'm
too
excited
loud.
to see and taste this incredible delicacy, and it's rockfish.
Rakfisk.
Rockfisk.
Rakfisk.
Fisk.
Fisk. Rakfisk.
Rockfisk.
Rakfisk.
Rockfish. No, a rockfisk.
Rakfisk.
Okay. After what seems like hours of saying the same thing back and forth, Arnstein and his nephew Magnus show me how they make the crown jewel of their family business, fermented fish. Oh, I smell. No, it's strong. Is that normal? That's strong.
Yeah.
Trout, and what is that one there?
This is Arctic char.
Arctic char. And how long do you cure it for?
It's in for 3 months.
Bloody hell. So you pack it with salt?
It's a long
Yeah.
time to make.
And then
Sugar as well.
sugar. So it cures it.
Yeah, exactly.
And how old is this method?
Dates back to the Viking age. Now it's more popular than ever.
Shall we?
It's like
First,
an
you
age-old
put
time way
salt
to
in
do
the
it.
belly, like
Gotcha.
this. Then you just put them in the bucket, and then it's heads, tails, head, tails, all the way through.
Opposite.
Yeah.
And you
Because-
build.
Exactly.
Sounds pretty straightforward. Or so I thought. But the Rackfisk master is not impressed. Too much?
Very much.
Too much?
Yes.
Less salt. How's that one, Uncle?
Ah, good.
Good? Thank God for that. I've never seen this method
That's
before
in
like
Norway, by
Only
the
here
way.
in Røros
It's
and,
still like
Valdres.
a
this.
dish
So
from all
literally
around,
is
though, isn't
indigenous
it?
to this area.
It is.
From
Very
like
proud.
Norway and Sweden,
Very
it's
popular,
they'll still
especially
have it,
around
won't they?
Christmas.
No, 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 no. Little more.
Little more.
You have to use your wrist.
Nej, 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 nej. So,
That's it?
perfect.
Man, your uncle's amazing. Do you ever upset him?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's better. Good.
Good, better. He's happy now. He's been a little bit tough on me.
You have been with me for 10 years as well.
He's a proper Viking. I'm dying to taste it. Oh,
Perfect.
there it is there.
After 3 months.
Wow, that's it there. Yeah, it's strong. It's a cross between a sort of cured salmon, but with.
I imagine
a
when it's been
vacherin
canned as well, that
cheese. It was
it's just
so
gonna
strong,
deflate. The
very
scent
acidic.
will just
That this is not
concentrate
very
way
strong.
more. I
That's
imagine
not
it's gonna
very strong.
dissipate
Let's try a stronger
when
one.
if you've let it air for a
right.
moment
Yeah,
or
that's
two.
Than that.
Let's try our special Christmas batch.
Bloody hell.
But like, yeah, when it's been canned,
I'm
it's,
worried
of
that
course it's gonna
special,
smell
in this
really
case,
badly when you've
is
got a
not
bunch of
good
fermented
thing.
fish.
So, what's special about this batch?
We have had it in the barrel for a longer amount of time.
Now, oh my god, the smell of that. Bloody hell. It doesn't look very appetizing.
The smell gets stronger the farther down the bucket you go.
Bloody hell. Seriously. Oh my god. This is sticky as. You don't eat this, do you? Oh my god. You like that smell?
Yes.
Oh no. No.
Jeez,
Look at the
Louise.
juice. The color of the juice.
That's the right texture.
Can you cut that, please? Is this a joke? Oh my lord. Oh my god. It's like putty. Why is this so a special rare delicacy when it stinks?
You should not think about the smell, it's the flavor.
It's like it reminds. What's that?
Oh,
What are they called? Century eggs. Do you know what they are?
No.
That's the right texture.
Want to see more from my Uncharted?
Do you guys know what century eggs are? Is that what they're called? They're like eggs which have been aged for decades, and like century eggs. These, yeah. Hang on, wait, how it's made. They're like meant to be extremely bad, extremely smelly but taste nice. These like, they're like blue as well when you crack them. Oh god, it's like a deliberately rotted egg. It looks disgusting, but it's meant, and it smells terrible, but it's meant to taste pretty good. Yeah, it's kind of... They're rotted, but completely edible. They're completely safe to eat. Tea, salt, calcium hydroxide, and sodium carbonate for 10 days. All wrapped in plastic. Yeah, they're called century eggs because they used to be have some which were aged for, a century plus. No, it doesn't. I mean, I don't like eggs as it is. Yeah, I guess like the actual colouring of them is not due to them being rotted, but just due to them the way they've been preserved. They look foul, and they're meant to smell pretty unappealing, but a lot of people swear by them, a lot of people really like them. I've heard people who don't like eggs like these kind of century eggs. And yeah, I imagine like now if you're getting them which are actually aged for decades on end, I imagine they'll be like artisanal ones and can cost up to, or cost you a pretty penny, honestly, like much like aged wine and such, and other kinds of aged alcohol. Yeah. Wait, what was the other thing we're gonna do? We're gonna look at pizza. Yeah. The history of pizza. Actually, hang on. Let's look at this. Let's look at this one. I don't really normally care about PewDiePie, but if you want to watch it, we can do. Good mythical morning.
He's tasting him and finding that he indeed tastes like waffles and smells like Switzerland.
IKEA? No, just like a tasteful deodorant.
I don't.
There he goes.
These guys are pretty
That's
funny.
going away. That's good for
Okay.
everybody.
Woo! I'll take your word for it,
Alright.
Thorn.
I'm excited for these.
I've never watched Good
So,
Mythical Morning or
Eddie, tell
PewDiePie,
us-
honestly. I know of them, obviously, but they're enormous. But
Yeah.
when did PewDiePie have a child? That was early this year, right?
Or
Or was that the end of last year?
When we found out Felix was coming, we were like, we got to eat something from the home country.
Okay, that's cool.
Now,
We've eaten a lot of stuff on this show, and a lot of stuff from Sweden. A lot of it's licorice, and
Oh,
a lot
yeah,
of it's
we have good
really
licorice.
salty.
Yeah, you sound like
What's up with that?
it's good, right?
I only watched this one with them, I think, but I had.
I love that salty licorice, but I'm the only one here that likes it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
right,
I
I see.
have difficulty with it. We have a can opener.
We need a can opener.
Are you gonna
When
open
we
it?
have
Oh God, no. Okay, well go ahead. Let's make it happen.
Is it gonna stink? This
So,
place up?
this one is surströmming. It's sour. I don't know what it's called in English. Sour type of fish. You eat it
Sour
raw.
Raw.
Whoa, whoa,
Is
whoa,
it
whoa,
sauerkraut? No.
This
No.
is raw.
Yeah, it's raw. And
Is it sterile?
Well, yeah. If it's been cured, of course you can eat it raw. It's kind of, it's like when you get like cured meats and stuff. Like you age it for a long time. I mean, they said in that video for like 3 months. Yeah, and like you keep it stocked up on like salt and sugar, and it will eventually, and it cooks itself essentially inside of with the salt and sugar, and you can eat it completely raw. It's why you get dried cured meats from.
we usually eat it during midsummer, which is a Swedish tradition during July.
During
So-
that vacation.
During that vacation, yeah.
So you eat this.
We get really drunk and we eat that.
Let's drink.
You personally.
Let's eat that raw
Have you
fish.
eaten
I mean, I'm maybe a Swedish expert, but I'm not.
Dude, you know what? Ooh, that smell! Oh, God! Oh! What?
I'm done. I'm not Swedish anymore.
Oh my goodness!
Oh! All I did was poke a hole in it.
smells like the worst fart ever! It smells like somebody pooped their own pants, man!
You were excited
did.
to eat this?
I did poop my pants. No.
Can you actually get it fresh, or can you only really get it canned like this? Like, again, as I said before, if it's in a tin, it's obviously gonna be like more concentrated as well. So there's gonna be this big burst of a smell in something which is already foul smelling. It's gonna be smell even worse. Yeah. I mean, I imagine you probably can get it like without being canned and stuff. But yeah, that's obviously it's gonna be the most available form, isn't it?
No,
is that?
you knew something was gonna happen.
Oh, God.
Maybe it's from like 1948 and we don't know.
Keep
What?
going.
No, listen, here's the problem, guys.
There's no problem.
I was gonna say.
You gotta get it out. You gotta get it out. You
This
gotta
way-
get it
no,
out of the
listen
building.
to me. It was bulging.
Oh, I
This
thought that was
thing has-
part
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
been.
It's fermented in there.
Yeah, this is not well.
How about we have this one instead?
We gotta get that out of the building.
Oh my gosh, guys.
I wish
Oh!
we
I'm
had
gagging.
we had smell-o-vision.
Oh my gosh.
Is there
guys.
actually
I
not
wish we
canned
had smell.
versions?
I think some
Yeah.
of it got on Felix. Like it popped. It went
It's all
everywhere.
I imagine
Yeah,
like.
You're gonna
What was I
take
saying
that
before?
home
There's,
with
you can
you.
get
Oh,
a
no.
artisanal
Oh,
version.
gosh,
You
this
probably
has to
can
go
get it
out. We need a
fresh
bag.
I
somewhere,
think so.
but it's not
Here
going
we
to be
go.
common
Some
to get.
nuclear and-
Look at this.
You,
spray.
hello. Sorry, you. I
on
didn't
my
even see you
phone.
there. My apologies.
My phone has the timer.
How you
on it.
doing, you?
Oh gosh!
It's so bad.
Wait, Filipino adobo. Well, actually, we're gonna put on a video about that in a second because that just reminded me of something. So hang on. Yeah, God, I love adobo. Adobo is really good. I remember you saying a while ago that like you don't have spicy food in the Philippines.
I just
Uh,
took off the can
So
opener.
Winter, she has told me that
It's bubbling.
there is a version of adobo which is like white adobo. It's very, very, very regional, which is like
No, it's not.
adobo
It's not.
made with.
Oh man, we have to
just
stay in this
chilies and
room do an
vinegar.
ear biscuit?
It smells bad, but like not.
It's not from Food Network.
Because you kind of like it, huh? I don't think I can do anything now.
Yeah, how the hell would you
It's from
eat this
Tasting
now?
History. We're gonna watch a video all about what came
Yeah, this is
first,
gonna be a
Filipino
cakewalk.
adobo or Spanish
this?
adobo.
It's
very interesting, because they have they're two
Mackerel.
very similar
Mackerel
dishes which
fillet
kind of
in
grew
tomato
independently of each
I
other.
cannot believe how that smells. I mean, I can't.
It smells
That's
like
probably the worst thing I ever
I
smelled.
feel like it's like
smells like-
digging up a person. 2
Did he
weeks
actually
after
try
they
it?
get married.
good tomato sauce. It's swimming in ketchup.
It kind of tastes like something I would eat while trying to survive. Make something like this not taste fishy at all. It's to explode a dead person.
They just like the smell. Yeah, I was kind of hoping they would actually give it a try anyway. You know.
Quiz hot shot. What's the Pope's favorite pizza top?
Okay, we'll watch this in a second. We're gonna watch the Filipino one first. Like, what do you... Well, okay, you say that. Think about how regional of a dish, how many versions there are of adobo, right? Like, your mum will make it differently from someone else's mum. I do know the thing you're on about. I think, okay, my mentality on this is, right? Again, it doesn't grow in the Philippines, so what? Right? I think the idea of not doing food a certain way because it's not traditional is extremely limiting. There are an infinite number of combinations of food out there, and you don't want to do... You won't add something because, oh, well, that's not how my grandmother of X denomination made it. Like, fuck your grandmother, she's probably got dementia. Like... No, like... It's... In my head, it's experiment with things, you know. And I said before, you know, you're saying peppers aren't used, fine. But, you know, Winters told me that, about, like, dishes which are just white... white adobo does not use any soy sauce. Instead, it uses just water and vinegar and a bunch of chilies, which aren't native to the Philippines. They're not. But they can get them. And, like, why not use them then? You know? Like, I don't know if peppercorns would have been, or black pepper in general would have been native to the Philippines, but, like, now it's used commonly. Soy sauce is not native to the Philippines. They got it from China. Right? Like, they didn't have soybeans to make soy sauce when, like, hundreds of years ago when they started making it. So, yeah. It's like the idea of like, okay, no, we're going to put on this video about adobo because it's important. It's important you know the history of this dish because adobo tastes good and people get really uppity about it. It's like when Italians get uppity about any of their food and like, well, actually, the one about pizza, watch in a second, but that's important as well, because Italians are very protective of their food. Italy did not popularize pizza. America did. It got popularized by America from the Second World War after soldiers came back to America and having tried pizza in parts of Italy. And it wasn't even classified as a national dish. It was a very local dish for a lot of it. Would you like to try surströmming? Like, is it? I'm guessing it's quite salty in flavor, isn't it? I don't know if you've had it before, then Thorn. I think you said before you didn't, right? You've not had it. Like, I'd be willing to give it a shot. Why not? Would I like it? Maybe not. And you know, like maybe it's one of those things where the smell would just put you off it way too much. Oh, what's that Filipino dish? It's like I talked to Winter about it before, and she's like, yeah, I'll pass on that. It's like a fucking chicken embryo, which is deep fried, and it sounds fucking disgusting. It's though. It sounds really unnerving to eat that chicken embryo. Where is it gone? Oh, where is it gone? There's a video about adobo. I've probably gone past. Yeah. Let me know when you see it, folks. We're on the hunt. Swedish semlor. Oh, there's a dish for you. You can eat. We'll watch this afterwards as well. But placenta. I love me some placenta. Sounds disgusting, but it does taste air from what my friend said. What do you mean? Do you mean it tastes like air? Here we go. Toad in the hole, very nice British dish.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Nobody knows. Actually, I think it was the egg. But
oh, do you want me to put it on
regardless, it's a fairly
0.25 speed? Because I can
unanswerable
do.
question, just like which came first, Filipino adobo or...
You're allergic to chicken? Really? Wow. I've never heard of someone allergic to chicken. What do you normally eat then for meat? Do you have like pork or beef?
Or Spanish adobo. But today, in an effort to knows. Actually, I think it was the egg. But regardless, it's a fairly unanswerable question, just like which came first, Filipino adobo or Spanish adobo. But today, in an effort to shed some light on the answer, we will be making a chicken adobo from 1529. So thanks to Trade Coffee for sponsoring this video as we look at the history of adobo, this time on Tasting History.
That's some chocolate and nuts here. Allergic to 6 foods. Good God, Yuri.
June 12th
What
is
happened?
Filipino Independence Day, which celebrates the Philippines' independence from Spain in 1898. Though they didn't actually become really a full sovereign nation for quite some time because America came in. And while studying this, I actually found out that there was a huge gap in my American history education. I had never, unfortunately, even heard of the Filipino-American War, one of America's longest and most brutal wars. I don't know how that could have possibly happened, but I hadn't, and that's not what this episode is about, but I do think it's a bit of an interesting and
Twitch
important
is lagging.
piece of information to have,
That's
so
okay.
I'm going to put some links in the description so you can learn about the Filipino-American War. But today we are focusing on the Spanish influence on Filipino cuisine, and possibly the Filipino influence on Spanish cuisine. And we'll start by making a recipe for chicken adobo from El Libro de Cocina by Ruperto de Nola, published in Catalonia in 1529.
You'll notice that with a lot of old recipes and such, like this, recipe books and recipes written down were written very differently from what we're done today. You know, you don't have the thing of like, oh, here are all the ingredients. Here's step by step what you need to do. It's not written like that. That kind of mentality had not been oh, I think my tracking just stopped. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that kind of format had not yet been solidified yet. So instead you have this really, like, very bare bones, like a free form recipe a lot of the time.
Potaje de adobado de gallina que se dice janete de gallinas. Take a hen and cut it up into portions. Take good fatty bacon and gently fry it with a little onion. Then gently fry the cut up hen with it. And take toasted almonds, grind them, and mix with quinces or pears conserved in honey. And take the livers of hens and roast them on the coals. And when they are roasted, put them in the mortar with the almonds and grind everything together. And then take a piece of crustless bread toasted and soaked in white vinegar, grind it in the mortar with the other things. And when it is well ground, mix it with salted hen's broth and strain it through a sieve and...
What's interesting here is that modern Filipino style adobo will use soy sauce, which has both sweet and salty. I can't remember what Spanish adobo normally uses. It does not use fruit. It's interesting that this uses pears or quinces. I don't know what a quince is, by the way. Yeah. Fruit is not common to be used. It reminds me a bit of how... So, Japan got curry, right? Curry is a national dish of Japan. Not native to Japan at all. Even despite them being in Asia, they did not get curry from an Asian country. Largely because they were like cut off from the world for 200 plus years due to the way the government worked. Instead, they actually got curry from British traders, which is why even today, curry is spelt in katakana, which is the alphabet used for foreign words, because it's considered a foreign food. despite it being their national dish. So they actually got it from British traders when you had the English going over to trade with the Japanese. They showed them curry for the first time, and we in turn had got it from India in a, whilst that was done in a rather brutal and inhumane imperialistic conquest, which unfortunately a lot of Europe was doing at the time. We did adopt the food of India as well. And now we have our own types of curry over here, which are different from a lot of like native Indian styles, but are still very closely, you can see a lot of the similarities and a lot of like you can see a lot of the similarities to it. But yeah, and Japanese curry uses like fruit sometimes, like apple juice or orange juice to give it a bit of sweetness. It's a very different flavor from a lot of other types of curry you'll find. It's not very spicy at all. You can get spicy versions of it, but it's not as focused on the spice. It's more focused on like the richness of flavor, and part of that comes from being a tiny bit sweet with like some kind of juice a lot of the time if you're making it from scratch.
Cast it in a pot, and cast the hen in also, and cast in all fine spices and a good quantity of sugar. This sauce must be a little...
Oh yeah, Thorn, I forgot to mention, and you as well. That video I made 2 weeks ago now it reached 10k views. And yeah. Oh no, I did mention that to you earlier, didn't I, Thorn? Yeah, that reached 10k views. Hopefully by next week the new one should be out. It should have been out today, but alas, no luck. I forgot I mentioned that to you earlier on, Thorn. Never mind, forget it then. Don't worry about it.
Sour. And when the sauce is cooked, cast in a little finely chopped parsley, and prepare your dishes, and then upon them, sugar and cinnamon. So this is definitely not your mother's adobo. In fact, this original Spanish word for adobo was actually adobado, which I can only surmise they changed because every time they said adobado, it cued those weird Muppets. Adobado. So for this recipe, what you'll need is 3 to 4 pounds or 1.5 kilograms of chicken, 3 chicken livers, 1/4 pound or 120 grams of fatty European-style bacon, 1 chopped onion,
Thank you, Logic.
1 cup toasted almonds. I bought toasted almonds that were already slivered, but you can buy whole almonds and toast them yourself. They're getting blended up anyway, so it's all going to turn out the same way.
My dear.
2 pears or quinces preserved in honey or syrup. I actually found a place online that would sell pears conserved in honey from Spain, which would have been perfect, but it was $80 for a jar like this, and it was 6 weeks to get here. So I went with pears in syrup. The fact that we're blending this up with chicken liver and vinegar,
thank you very much.
I can't imagine that it's going to make too much of a difference, and definitely not $80.
Do we have a really expensive redeem?
1 large thick
the
slice of
601
crustless
and the
bread,
1001.
lightly toasted on both sides. 1 cup or 235 milliliters of white wine vinegar. 1 quart or 1 liter of salted chicken broth. 3 or 4 teaspoons of fine spices. These are really up to you. It's not specific, but fine spices in Spain at the time would have been things like galangal, grains of paradise, clove, nutmeg, and long pepper, so I'm actually going to use a little bit of all 5 of those. 1/4 cup of sugar,
I never
1
had grains of
tablespoon
paradise.
minced parsley, and a little bit of cinnamon and sugar to garnish on top. So
Never
first
heard of
take the
grains of
bacon and
paradise
add
at
it to a
all.
large frying pan over high heat. It should be nice and fatty, so it should turn just basically to grease, which is perfect because then you can add your onions and fry those for about 5 to 7 minutes or until they become translucent. Now this is going to heat up your kitchen, and being in Los Angeles as I am, it's already kind of warm here, so I'm
it's
going
just
to
the
need
odd
something to
part.
cool me down, which is why I am enjoying. Once your onions start to brown, it's time to add your chicken. You want to make sure to get each piece lightly browned, so you may want to turn them over
You might
a
want
couple
to actually
times,
put them
keeping an eye
with
on
them
them
touching the
as they
pan
cook.
as well first.
Once the
Moving
chicken
the
is brown,
onions a
set
bit.
it aside as we saute our liver. Now, they are supposed to be cooked over hot coals, but who has hot coals? I bet John Townsend has hot coals in his kitchen because he has a pretty sweet setup. But I don't, so I'm doing them on a pan.
Townsend's pretty
So
interesting
take a
channel as
small
well. They do like
saucepan with a bit
traditional
of fat or oil,
cooking
and then
made
saute
using old
your chicken
methods.
livers over medium heat for about 3 minutes on each side. While the livers cook, put a slice of bread in a large bowl and pour the vinegar all over it, and leave it for a few minutes so it can soak up as much vinegar as possible. You want a nice thick piece of bread because you're hoping to soak up pretty much that entire cup. of white wine vinegar. And while that piece of bread becomes a vinegar sponge, it's time to use a food processor to grind your almonds. Now, you can do this with a mortar and pestle. You need a very large mortar and pestle to grind the almonds, but that's not terribly hard, but it's going to get harder and kind of gross later on when we start adding like the pears and the livers and everything.
So, I have ground nuts with a mortar and pestle before. So, there's a really nice dish I like to make called fezenjun, which is a Persian dish, and as part of it, you need to get some ground walnuts. Now, normally, you would just get something to blitz them, like a blitzer, a processor, to just blitz the nuts into a fine dust, essentially. I do not have that. I don't have one of those. So instead, I spend like almost an hour chopping them up into fairly fine and then crushing them with a mortar and pestle because I can't afford getting a food blitzer. So yeah, that kind of sucks. I could really do with one. I should probably try and invest in one in the future. Yeah. Man, if only someone was to gift 5 subs so that I can afford one. Oh, whoa. Oh, no. Anyway, no, seriously though, like, it's honestly a pain in the ass to do. Do yourself a favor, get a food blitzer or a food processor, whatever you want to call it. They do save a lot of time and effort.
Everything. So use a food processor if you got it.
Yeah,
So
work
grind
smarter,
the almonds up until you
not
have a
harder, they
nice
say.
powder, and then add the pears and blend those. Then take the livers off of the stove and toss them in as well. The fact that we're grinding these livers means that I don't think it matters if they're done on coals or in an oven or on a stove. It's all ending up the same. Then take the bread out of the vinegar and toss that in as well. Also, if there is any vinegar left, hold on to it because you might be adding that later on in the process. Finally, pour in the salted chicken broth and blend everything together. So now this is a Renaissance sauce, but this whole...
If you're using modern chicken broths for this, like an Oxo cube, you might not want to put any extra salt in it because they can be quite salty anyway. So if anyone wants to try this at home, keep that in mind. Chicken broth can already be salty, so watch out for it.
whole process is very medieval. The spices, the sugar, the vinegar, all quite medieval, and what's really medieval is using bread as a thickener. Usually it's done more as like bread crumbs, and it can tend to kind of get gloopy, but I think that the way that it's being done here and the fact that we're about to sieve it, it should turn out quite nice. So position a fine mesh strainer over a stew pot and slowly pour the sauce through it. If the strainer kind of gets full, take a spoon and kind of agitate the
We call it a sieve over here, not a strainer.
stuff at the bottom, and all of the liquid should eventually make it through that strainer. Any dregs left over, you can toss. Then add in your spices and the sugar and stir everything together. Now at this point, you can taste it, and if it doesn't taste a little bit sour, because it should taste rather sour at this point, add the rest of that vinegar or even add a little bit more. After all, adobo, it should be vinegary. Then add the cooked chicken and the onions and set it on
I think the first time I made adobo, I really realized how, like, important vinegar is to a lot of Asian cuisine. Like, there's always been a nice flavor which I couldn't grasp, and then, like, I made adobo, and, like, you cook it down for quite a bit beforehand, and it's like, oh, it was vinegar, and, like, when you try vinegar by itself, it doesn't feel like it would add much to it, add anything nice to it. If you, like, cook down vinegar for a while and just let the flavor mellow out a bit, that acidity on it just kind of, it's nowhere near as sour, and it's actually quite pleasant. It's like, there's a Japanese dish, which is like, it's like a spaghetti dish, which was originally made in, like, I think the 50s or 40s or something like that, to emulate Italian dishes after a chef had got clients from Italy coming into a hotel he was working at, I believe it was, and yeah, it uses ketchup. Now, Japanese ketchup apparently is generally a bit sweeter, but you can use any kind of ketchup. If you use ketchup, can be a bit tart at times, I guess. And I think some people find it a bit sour. I like ketchup personally, but like to cook with a lot of ketchup, to cook with ketchup means using a lot of it, which can be too much for some people. If you just let that cook out for a little bit, just fry it out, that sourness really kind of the flavor just really mellows out and becomes really nice. And honestly, I've tried the dish before. Honestly, quite nice. I think I'd still prefer like a big thick tomato sauce, just because it's like more filling. I feel like, and the flavor is definitely richer. But as like a quick little thing, using this spaghetti Neapolitan, that's what it's called, or Neapolitan, as they would say in Japanese, because the Politan, yeah, that's how they call it. That is a nice alternative, especially as like a weird like pantry cleaner, I guess. If you don't have any tomatoes on hand, you can use some ketchup instead. I just fry it out a bit and use that as a sauce.
Stove, bringing it to a boil. Then lower the heat and cover the pot and let it simmer for about 40 to 45 minutes or until the chicken is nice and tender. Covering the pot is rather important at this point because that vinegar smell is going to really take over the kitchen if you don't, so cover the pot. Now, what makes this adobo different than modern Filipino or modern Spanish adobo has got to be those spices that are being used. And it's those spices that kick off our history of adobo. So adobo today has kind of several meanings. It can mean to marinate, it can mean kind of used as a sauce or as a braising liquid, and then there are lots of variations even within those definitions. But the one thing that they all have in common is vinegar, and that makes sense because it comes from the word adobar, which means to marinate in vinegar. Actually, interestingly enough, that word comes from the medieval French word adouber, which meant to give a sword and shield to a knight, and even today it can mean to dub a knight, which I think is kind of cool. I'm just wondering how that turned into marinate in vinegar into chicken.
I imagine there's some kind of like old like pun or proverb here, which is why it got changed.
Dish or meat dish or whatever kind of adobo you want. But it's that meaning of adobar, the marinating in vinegar, that is important because marinating meats in vinegar was a great way to preserve them for long journeys, like the one that started on September 20th, 1519. A feisty young, or rather kind of middle-aged for the 16th century, Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan set sail from Spain in a
Wait,
quest...
how old would he have been?
1519. A feisty young,
he was
or
born
rather
in
kind of middle-aged for the
1480.
16th century, Portuguese
Wow, I'm 39.
explorer Ferdinand Magellan set sail from Spain in a quest for spices. Funded by King Charles I of Spain, Magellan was tasked with
No, we're
finding a
29
western
even, not
route to the
39, boy.
Moluccas, or the Spice Islands, now part of the Indonesian archipelago.
Wait, I need to double check that. Is my maths wrong? 1519.
A feisty young, or rather kind of middle-aged for the 16th century, Portuguese...
And he was born in, 1490, 1500, 1590. No, 39, yeah, okay.
Ferdinand Magellan set sail from Spain
still pretty
in a quest
middle-aged over
for
here.
spices. Funded by King Charles I of Spain, Magellan was tasked with finding a western route to the Moluccas, or the Spice Islands, now part of the Indonesian archipelago. They were the only place in the entire world at the time that grew cloves. Can you imagine loving cloves that much that you would go all the way around the world? Also, can you imagine the look on their face when they see what we do with cloves around Christmas time? Those are called pomanders, and they actually have a rather interesting history, maybe something I should cover around Christmas. But anyway, Magellan was essentially sailing all the way around the world, the long way, because the Portuguese were in the way going east, just for spices. The Spanish, they love those spices. Now the trip started off nice enough. They actually spent Christmas partying it up in Rio de Janeiro. Really, they actually did that. Then they had a nice relaxing sail down the South American coast. But then they ran into some bad weather, and Easter brought on a mutiny, as it so often does. And then they had some desertion, shipwreck, and just some light starvation. Now, when they left Spain, they had an estimated 2 years of food on the ship, including a lot of vinegar-preserved meat, adobo. But turns out that the Pacific Ocean is rather large, and so all the food kind of got used up. They were even about to run out of their ship's biscuits. We only ate old biscuit reduced to powder and full of grubs and stinking from the mess which the rats had made on it while eating the good biscuit. And we drank water that was yellow and stinking. We also ate the ox hides which were under the main yard, also the sawdust of wood, and rats which cost half a crown each.
My
That's some
tracking is not
expensive
working.
rat meat. I don't think I would do well at sea. Also, a lot of people died from scurvy, though Magellan himself seemed untouched, and that's possibly due to the fact that he had a large store of preserved quinces in honey, just like is called for in today's recipe, though I'm using pears, of course, because...
So this is actually a really interesting thing as well, which links into a common nickname. So there's a name which people call Brits, especially in the US, they call them limeys, and this actually comes from the fact that when people realized that to stop scurvy, like a lot of so actually rather at the time they didn't know why, but they found that citrus fruits were really good at preventing scurvy, and this is actually largely due to the large amount of vitamin C inside of them. So yeah, like things like lemons, orange juices, and in this case, limes were all useful to stop it. And England, or Britain as a whole rather, had limes. So what they would do is on big voyages, they would bring like crates of limes with them, like I imagine preserved as well, preserved limes, like here on quinces preserved. But yeah, they would bring those and they would eat them, and it would help them to avoid scurvy because of the vitamin C content in them. So yeah, it was such an influential thing. It was that we ended up getting the name limeys from the Americas and from I think some other groups as well. And people still say limeys today.
I can't find any quinces. But for those sailors who weren't the captain of the ship, they had to wait until they found land to get some decent food. And the first port of call was Guam, though there wasn't actually a lot of food to be had because the people who were living in Guam at the time came aboard the Spanish ship and just stole a bunch of their stuff, leading Magellan to name the island Isla de los Ladrones, Island of Thieves, which in hindsight was probably the best course of action. But eventually, on March 16th, 1521, Magellan arrived at what he named Las Islas de Poniente, the islands to the west, the future Philippines. And there the inhabitants were very welcoming and more than glad to share their food. At noon on Friday, March 22nd, those men came in 2 boats with coconuts, sweet oranges, a jar of palm wine, and a rooster in order to show us that there were chickens in that district. Those people became very familiar with us. In order to show them great honor,
I like that in this old picture, this one guy has no facial hair, and these two have like these really long mustaches.
Captain General took them to his ship and showed them all his merchandise: cloves, cinnamon, pepper, ginger, nutmeg, mace, gold, and all the things on the ship. I love that in the whole list of things that he showed them, gold was last. After all the spices. That's how important spices were to these Spaniards. And actually spices would have been somewhat impressive to the native Filipinos because they had probably never seen them before because they didn't really grow on the Philippine Islands. Instead, they eat coconuts, camotes, birds, figs 1 palmo in length, sugar cane, and flying fish besides other things. Coconuts are the fruit of the palm tree. Just as we have bread, wine, oil, and milk, so those people get everything from that tree. They get wine in the following manner. They bore a hole into the heart of the said palm, from which distills a liquor which resembles white must. That liquor is sweet, but somewhat tart, and is gathered in canes of bamboo as thick as the leg and thicker. By the way, that
it reminds me of how important olives were to the Greeks, where olives could be used as both a food themselves, but also as a fuel source, and of course to make oil. So yeah, a lot of civilizations have got a lot of made their entire livelihood based off of certain plants and stuff.
Fig 1 palmo in length is better known today as a banana. But it's the liquor from that coconut palm, today called tuba, which is important to our adobo story because it's also how they made a very important ingredient for adobo, vinegar. When they wish to make vinegar, they allow only the palm water to putrefy, and then place it in the sun, and a vinegar results like that from white wine. Now, while Pigafetta, the sailor who wrote all of that down, does mention both of the ingredients necessary for adobo, meat and vinegar, we don't really get a good glimpse of what they're actually making until 1613.
I think it's really weird how civilizations have all just kind of figured out a way to make alcohol and as a byproduct of that vinegar without much relation to each other. I mean, surely the inhabitants of the Philippines had some kind of interaction with other groups beforehand who interacted with them, but I don't know if there's anything to say that yes, they got taught how to make that. People just kind of figured out that you can get alcoholic beverages from stuff and it can make you feel nice and fluffy if you drink them. And you know, vinegar was likely made completely by accident by people who just kind of left out alcohol in the sun and just let it soil and ferment, and eventually you got a vinegar forming on it.
In one of the earliest Tagalog dictionaries compiled by Franciscan missionary Pedro de San Buenaventura, he mentions adobo de los naturales, adobo of the native people. And that's likely a reference to what he ends up calling kilao, which he describes as salt, vinegar, chili peppers, which were new to the islands, and fresh fish or meat like carabao.
See,
the dish is still made today, made with fish, and it's called quinilao. And it gets another mention in an 18th century dictionary in the sort of form of a poem. When the quinilao is finished and the wine is emptied, the friendship is ended.
Damn.
Oh, that was way harsh, Ty.
Now we have our meat marinated in vinegar on the Spanish ship, and we have our meat marinated in vinegar on the Philippine Islands. Both created completely independently of each other, each culture having developed their own version of adobo. And over the next 300 years, they're going to influence each other. Like the recipe that we're using today doesn't use vinegar as a marinade as much as it does a braising liquid and then a sauce, which the Philippines took and really ran with and made a wide assortment of adobos. Adobos? Adobe? What's the plural? Adobos. I'm going to go with adobos. One such adobo is adobang pusit, which is squid adobo, and it's made with squid ink, which, while they obviously had squid back in Spain, they didn't really use it much in cooking until some Jesuit missionaries who had been in the Philippines brought the practice back with them. And now in the Basque region, many dishes are made with squid ink. There are also different colored adobos like abodang dilaw, abodang pula, and abodang puti, which I think is probably the closest to the one that we're making today, albeit quite different. A lot less cinnamon and, well, it's different, but the closest. Now, the most popular adobo in the Philippines today, and what you'll probably get at a Filipino restaurant, is made with soy sauce, which was brought over by the Chinese long before any Spanish ships came to call. And that's really the story of Filipino cuisine in general. They have their own core cuisine, but then lots of influences from the other cultures that came to the islands. The Chinese, the Japanese, the Spanish, the Americans. There's even a dish called kare-kare, which is based on a Indian curry with peanuts, which probably came to Manila in the 1760s by Indian sepoys when the British occupied the city during the 7 Years' War. So which came first, Filipino adobo or Spanish adobo? Both. Neither. I feel like at this point their existence is inexorably linked, like Harry Potter and Lord Voldemort. And the adobo that we're making today is very much related, but doesn't really belong in the same world. Kind of like the Fantastic Beast movies. But hopefully,
I've never seen those.
Even better.
Are they any good?
So
I don't think they're meant to be
simmered,
that good, right?
Toss in the parsley and stir, letting it cook for just another minute or two. Then serve up a plate of the chicken along with a bit of the sauce, and garnish it with just a bit of cinnamon and sugar on top. And here we are, chicken adobo
Cinnamon
from
and sugar on
1529.
top.
I'm going to start with a leg.
I don't think you'd ever use cinnamon sugar today for this kind of thing. You'd more use it for something sweet.
So it's cool because the vinegar scent, really I found like it wasn't there all that much, but you can definitely taste it. But it's not mean. It's not mean vinegar. It's not harsh because you're getting all these other spices in there, and it's sweet. there's sugar in it, but it's also that pear. I'm thinking. Again, I don't think it would have mattered if the pear had been in honey, not for $80, but it's definitely got that sweetness. But then it also has the vinegar, which is interesting because the soy sauce adobo that is typical in the Philippines today has that vinegar and has that sweetness. So I kind of wonder if there wasn't a bit of exchange of flavors and ideas of how to make it there. And the texture is really, really nice. Like it's...
I mean, it's just like stewed meat, so of course it's going to taste
cooked
nice.
really well.
Honestly,
I think a little bit more sauce, and
am I like weird for not liking steak? Like, I think steak is fine.
Now, Anthony Bourdain did a great
I don't
episode
dislike it. I
on
think
adobo,
steak is fine.
and in it,
I'd much rather prefer
the
something like
person who was
stewed
cooking it,
beef, though.
who makes
I think
the best
stewed meat
adobo?
is just
What's the best
fantastic.
adobo?
Yeah.
And the guy was like, my mother's. And Anthony Bourdain said, yes. The best adobo is your mother's adobo. Anybody's mother's adobo. So, if your mom makes adobo or if you make adobo, share the images with me on Instagram, Tasting History with Max Miller. I love it when people send me food pictures. Or if you make this adobo, definitely send that as well. So thanks again to Trade Coffee for sponsoring this video. Link is in the description, and I will see you next time on Tasting History.
Cool. We could watch something else. If I'm being honest, I'm kind of not feeling it. I kind of just want to call it a day, I think, just because it's, yeah, I'm just not feeling great today. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there today. I'm not streamed in a bit. This was more I kind of felt like I did have to this obligation because I'd already said I was. And I'd already said I was gonna release a new video, and I hadn't done. I've not been able to. So yeah, it's just like I don't know, like a bunch of stuff's gone wrong. Right, so though, yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there today. I was gonna watch some other ones, but it's fine. We can do this all some other time. Thank you though for coming today, everyone. I do appreciate it, even if it's only for a little bit. I think I'll be wanting to actually try and play some actual games later on in the week as well. I do have Helltaker to play. And what was it? The Mystery Dungeon games. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try and play some actual games later in the week though. So yeah. Alright then everyone, thank you very much for coming. Apologies again, I'm just not feeling it today. But yeah. I shall see you all in a little while. Have a good one and keep well. Alright, thank you. Bye. Bye.